Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. At Remy's house, he tells Electra that the deepfakes would not have occurred if she had just felt the same way he does for her. He promises that will never touch her again with his dirty hands. He chases after Electra, who knees him in the crotch before fleeing the apartment and down the street. Electra was imprisoned by Bold Crazy. In an attempt to get a mobile signal, Electra hides in an alley. Remy pursues her and says that if she listens to him, they can still be friends. She keeps running till Will calls her at last. Will informs Katie and Ivy at Forrester that Electra's life is being ruined by someone. Ivy claims that this is occurring again after it already occurred back home. They question if it's the same individual. Will makes a commitment to track down this individual and make sure he never harms Electra again. Electra is not answering Will's messages informing her that she is not being fired. Ivy believes that since she is unhappy, she is ignoring her phone. Since she should have known that Electra wouldn't pose for such pictures, Katie feels terrible. Ivy says she doesn't understand why Katie didn't come to her, even though she acknowledges that she was caught up in a PR disaster. Since Electra's body belongs to her, Katie wanted to prevent this from happening since she didn't want her to feel humiliated. She hopes the perpetrator is apprehended. Will calls Electra at the design office to inform her that she has not been dismissed and that his mother received deepfakes from someone. She informs him that he is pursuing her and that it is Remy. Will rides his bike out after her when she tells him her whereabouts. Remy plays a perverted version of Marco Polo with Electra after cornering her in a warehouse. He begs her to come out and says he simply wants to explain. He chases Electra as she flees once again. Will rides his motorbike toward Electra and Remy. Remy ends up cornering Electra on a roof. She warns him not to approach her. As Remy gets closer to Electra, who is on the verge of falling over the roof's railing, Will spots them on the roof and rushes up. Back at the Forrester office, Ivy and Katie talk about how what was done to Electra should be against the law. According to Ivy, the laws haven't kept up with the applications since they are so new. She adds that individuals are being damaged by deepfakes on a daily basis and that the applications also make it difficult to determine who created the photographs. Ivy asserts that they must prevent this from happening to anybody else, and Katie pledges that Forrester will spread the word about the dangers of these deepfakes. Luna tells Bill that the ladies in this jail are trying to harm her. She is aware that she deserves to be imprisoned, yet she will perish if she remains here. She implores Bill to come to her aid. He must first learn how she murdered Tom Starr and Hollis. Bill wants to know the specifics of how she did it, even though she claims to have already confessed. She should begin with Starr, he advises. Luna claims that Tom used one of those tumbler glasses while playing at Il Giardino. She was shocked to learn that Jerk was her father and that he would tell her everything. He passed out in the midst of his performance, she recalling that she had poured fast-acting narcotic powder into his drink. Once again, Bill wants the specifics when he asks how she got rid of Hollis. Luna claims that since he was in the wrong location at the wrong time, she feels awful for him. Hollis discovered Tom's rucksack and the letters purporting to be his father, she says. She murdered Tom and had to quiet him to conceal the fact that Bill wasn't her father. When he was closing the restaurant, she remembers poisoning his drink in the same manner. It didn't take long for it to take effect, and we see his disoriented fall in front of Luna. He discovers she poisoned him just before he passes away. Why Bill wants to hear this is beyond her comprehension. I think you know why, he says to her. Luna sobs, please, I need you, I'm going to die in here, as Bill stands up and departs later, while Luna sobs because she doesn't know what she done. The guards show there and put her in transport chains. As they bring her through the hallways, she apologizes and claims she has no idea what is going on. After being freed from handcuffs, she is flung into a courtyard where she spots Bill. Thank you, she sobs as she rushes into his arms, and he cradles her. Luna is released into Bill's arms as Remy pursues Electra across Los Angeles with Will in pursuit. The expansive, sun-drenched metropolis of Los Angeles serves as the backdrop for an intense pursuit as Remy, motivated by a combustible mix of desperation and passion, follows Electra through its famous streets. This thrilling quest involves more than just physical closeness, it also involves a collision of unbridled passions, long-kept secrets, and relentless motivations. The suspense builds into a compelling game of cat and mouse as Will pursues them, and each character's next action might decide how their entwined destinies turn out. Luna is ultimately freed into Bill Spencer's arms in a parallel storyline of repentance and reconnection, which raises the possibility of changing allegiances and solving unsolved riddles. An encounter that reveals the brittle strands holding Electra's life together sets off the chase. Remy has been drawing closer for weeks, his obsession with Electra becoming out of hand. His unwavering determination is fueled by his conviction that Electra is the key to something bigger, whether it is an awful truth, retribution, or personal redemption. Realizing the extent of Remy's fixation, Electra decides to escape, leaving the haven she had clung to in the hopes of finding safety elsewhere. Ever the watchful guardian, Will acknowledges Electra's peril and promises to step in. Even if his emotions for her are clouded by betrayals in the past and uncertainty in the present, they nonetheless drive him to take action. Will emerges as the unofficial hero when Electra runs away and Remy pursues her, determined to stop disaster and find out why Remy is obsessed. Los Angeles, a metropolis as erratic as the emotions fueling the hunt, is the backdrop against which the pursuit unfolds. At Hollywood landmarks, Electra weaves between traffic and blends in with the throngs of visitors as she traverses the busy downtown streets. From the glitzy boulevards of Beverly Hills to the filthy alleyways of South Central, her desperation pushes her into uncharted territory. Every location turns into a distinct character that raises the drama's stakes and gives it depth. Remy's resolve is unwavering. He tracks Electra's movements using his resources and contacts, using technology and deceit to get closer to her. He is a cunning predator and a guy on the verge of losing control because of his systematic but very emotional pursuit. Will, who is also resourceful, trusts his gut and his unyielding determination. He follows a trail of hints, such as a slight hint of Electra's presence, an object left behind, or an overheard conversation. Despite his perseverance, Will is plagued by the fear that it may be too late and that Remy's desperation may do irreparable damage before he can step in. Asterisk. For Electra, the hunt is a struggle for her existence and independence rather than just a means of getting away from physical harm. She is resolved to overcome the guys who seem to be trying to control her future as well as the shadow of her past. Every action she makes is an affirmation of her fortitude and her unwillingness to let the turmoil around her define her. Remy's misguided attachment and unresolved anguish are placed on top of his fixation with Electra. He sees the pursuit as a way to convey the feelings he is unable to communicate and as a way to regain control. However, the distinction between love and ownership is blurred by the evil that permeates his deeds and threatens to engulf him. Will sees the quest as both a rescue and a quest for atonement. Despite their complexity, his emotions for Electra are sincere, and he views this as a chance to prove himself to both her and himself. A combination of optimism, remorse, and an unwavering sense of justice motivate Will's resolve to keep Electra safe. A high-stakes confrontation in a setting as dramatic as the emotions at play marks the conclusion of the hunt. Perhaps the expansive Griffith Observatory, where their confrontation is set against the background of the huge metropolis, or the Venice Beach beachfront, where the disorder of the throng reflects the disorder within each character. Cornered and with no other choice, Electra has to muster all of her bravery and strength to face Remy. As Electra attempts to reason with Remy while maintaining her position, their conversation is a flurry of accusations, admissions, and unfiltered emotion. Remy is on the verge of losing it because he is caught between wanting to keep her safe and not being able to let go. Will shows up just before the balance is tipped. His presence upsets the delicate balance and makes Remy face the repercussions of his behavior. Will puts himself between Electra and Remy in a last-ditch effort to keep her safe as the argument becomes violent. It is a fierce and emotionally charged combat, one that involves not just fists but also wills and ideas. Another storyline strand reaches a turning point as the pursuit goes on, Luna's release into Bill Spencer's arms. Luna is a hub of secrets and relationships that might reveal the larger narrative, and her incarceration has been cloaked in mystery and danger. Bill has worked relentlessly to obtain her release, negotiating risky agreements and moral concessions to reintegrate her into society. His reasons are as intriguing as they are mysterious. Bill and Luna's reunion is both heartwarming and tense without being overt. Despite being happy that she was freed, Luna is well aware of the cost Bill has incurred and the potential expectations that now hang over her. Ever the nuanced character, Bill views Luna's comeback as both a win and a chance to obtain power and influence in a bigger game. Their relationship is intertwined with appreciation, distrust, and the potential for forgiveness. Asterisk. The stakes are increased and new concerns are explored when the narratives of Bill, Electra, Remy, Will, and Luna intersect. What secrets are concealed in their common past, and what motivates Remy's fixation with Electra? Can Will gain Electra's love and trust via his valiant attempts, or will his acts just widen their gap? What part will Luna and Bill play in the drama that is developing? Will their reunion lead to stability, or will it create the conditions for further disputes? Beyond just being a physical quest, the chase throughout Los Angeles serves as a metaphor for the protagonist's internal conflicts and decisions. They become closer to facing their pasts, desires, and destiny with every action, choice, and encounter. A pivotal moment in these people's lives is marked by the dramatic pursuit through Los Angeles and Luna's tearful reunion with Bill. It is a tale of love and obsession, betrayal and redemption, and pursuit and escape. The characters are left to deal with the fallout from their deeds and the realities they can no longer ignore as the dust settles. This chapter serves as a testimony to the intricacies of interpersonal connections and the extent individuals will go to in order to preserve, acquire, or regain the things they value most in the ever-changing fabric of the bold and the beautiful. The chase will have a lasting impact, influencing the course of a story that never fails to enthrall spectators with its unique mix of love, intrigue, and high-stakes drama, regardless of whether it ends in victory or sorrow. Hero will rushes to save Electra as Bill orders Luna's immediate release. According to Tuesday, December 31st spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Bill Spencer threatened to quit if Luna Nozawa didn't tell him how she got rid of Paul Hollis-Hollister and Tom Starr. At last, Luna revealed how, before Tom's performance, she had slipped a deadly amount of drugs into his sports drink. After discovering Tom's letters pertaining to Hollis' paternity, Luna proceeded to do the same thing to her coconut water. Luna committed the atrocities while explaining everything to Bill as he requested, according to B&B flashbacks. Bill scowled and believed she understood why, but Luna questioned why he wanted to hear all of this. Luna screamed in an attempt to stop Bill as he abruptly left the room. Soon after, Luna was brought someplace by several guards while chained up. After a moment of confusion, the guards removed all of Luna's shackles and sent her to the transfer area. Luna rushed into Bill's consoling arms as soon as she spotted him standing in a ray of light, seemingly saving her life. Ivy Forrester and Katie Logan continued to talk about the risks of artificial intelligence and the necessity for legislation to combat deepfakes at Forrester Creations. Electra had the opportunity to flee after kneeing Remy Price in the crotch in his residence. Electra went down the sidewalk nearby, ended up on a construction site, and fled through other locations as Remy pursued after her. Remy became particularly eerie when he insisted that Electra make a sound and answer his Marco with a pollo while she was hiding. Remy finally hinted that they may still be friends, but Electra continued to run away whenever he approached too closely. Electra once acknowledged Remy was responsible for the deepfake pictures when she took Will's phone call. Despite not knowing where she was, Electra managed to communicate her whereabouts to Will and let him know that Remy was now pursuing her. Will mounted his motorbike and set off to find Electra, who ultimately ran up a flight of stairs as Remy pursued her. As they wrestled, there was undoubtedly some risk since Remy pulled Electra close to a railing that was rather far above. But Will eventually showed there and broke up the fight, so he's going to start a fight with Remy of his own. We'll provide you with updates on all the crazy news and more predictions about the outcomes since spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful indicate that Remy and Will have some intense times ahead of them. In the lives of Bill Spencer, Electra, and Remy, the confluence of crimes, secrets, and unrestrained emotions explodes into a whirlpool of mayhem. Known as Saint Bill for his ability to plan events that, in the sight of others, do not affect his moral character, Bill's most recent actions expose a darker side to his polished exterior. At the same time, Electra is in a precarious predicament and frantically calls 911 in an effort to get away from the danger that Remy's growing wrath represents. A terrifying story of deception, desperation, and redemption in a world where every decision blurs the boundaries between hero and villain is set up by the overlapping lives of these three people. Known for his strategic acumen and commanding personality, Bill Spencer has always balanced virtue and sin. His public image as Saint Bill is a meticulously constructed facade that conceals the deliberate betrayals and moral concessions that often serve as the foundation for his triumphs. But his most recent sin poses a danger to his reputation that even his cunning moves may not be able to prevent. Bill's actions this time are quite personal and include a secret that directly affects Electra and, therefore, Remy. The consequences of his choices start to damage his reputation, whether it's by a breach of trust, a covert transaction, or taking advantage of someone's weakness. The irony is evident. Bill's transgression is a well-thought-out deed that makes his supporters wonder about his actual character rather than a moment of weakness. The strain of her situation ultimately becomes too much for Electra to handle. When her world seems to be closing in on her, she calls 911 in a panic, feeling confined and alone. Her desperate and unvarnished cry for assistance demonstrates her will to live in spite of the insurmountable obstacles against her. For Electra and everyone around her, the call itself turns into a turning point. It makes the people in her immediate vicinity, Remy's relentless hunt, Bill's dubious intentions, and Electra's struggle for independence, face the seriousness of the situation. Her 911 call, which captures her resistance to give in to the turmoil around her, is a symbol of both her power and fragility. Once motivated by a complicated combination of obsession and misplaced love, Remy's pursuit of Electra eventually devolves into violent wrath. He becomes a cause of chaos due to his incapacity to regulate his emotions and look beyond his own wants. Remy becomes more and more unstable as Electra withdraws emotionally and physically, seeing her efforts to flee as betrayals rather than self-defense. Remy's wrath may show out in erratic and harmful ways, endangering not just Electra but also anybody who tries to step in. His behavior contrasts sharply with Bill's methodical approach, demonstrating the unbridled strength of his feelings in opposition to Bill's icy, deliberate dominance. In a dramatic scene, Bill, Electra, and Remy's lives converge, forcing each character to face the consequences of their deeds. Despite his transgressions, Bill presents himself as a rescuer and intervenes to take charge of the situation. His intentions are still unknown, however. Is he really trying to keep Electra safe, or is he just taking advantage of the instability to consolidate his own authority? The conflict between Bill and Remy turns into a struggle for Electra's autonomy. Despite their attempts to revolve the story around her, she refuses to be a pawn in their schemes. Her bravery and tenacity are evident, demonstrating that she is more than capable of confronting both guys in spite of their strength and hatred. Remy must confront his own anger when he finds himself in the middle of it. He has alienated the same person he says he cares about by his actions, which have driven him to the brink. Whether he decides on destruction or atonement will determine how the tale turns out and where he fits into it. Everyone is suffering from the repercussions from this tremendous confluence. Once concealed, Bill's immorality now poses a danger to his meticulously maintained persona. Despite being secure for the time being, Electra must choose between confronting Bill about his genuine motivations and avoiding the tangled web completely. And as Remy struggles with the fallout from his anger, he has to consider the potential that he has lost everything in the process. Power, control, and the hazy boundaries between good and wrong are some of the issues that the novel brings up. Even if Bill's actions have a positive effect, can they ever be fully justified? Will Electra remain trapped by the forces surrounding her, or will she have the fortitude to take back her life on her terms? And is there any chance that Remy will be saved, or has he gone too far and cannot be turned back? A pivotal moment in a story characterized by its complex network of connections and moral difficulties is marked by St. Bill's sin, Electra's 911, and Remy's rageful pursuit. It is a tale of decisions and repercussions, with each character's actions having an impact on not just their own lives but also that of others around them. One thing is evident as the dust settles: the characters must now negotiate a new world defined by the events of this dramatic showdown, and the balance of power has changed. It remains to be seen whether they come out stronger or more broken than before, therefore the narrative will always be captivating and fascinating.